What is up? Welcome back. Hopefully the sounds amazing. The levels look great. I don't have much time, so let's go ahead and get into today. This is the TCB scans for chapter 1174. There's the socials. You can follow the socials. Socials will have posts that are either going live or live at that time, maybe something that you missed earlier, and also updates on the show when there's power outages and things like that. I'm Elijah 5000. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Let's get rid of the socials. You can find them on twitch.tv/edge2gaming. Let's go ahead and give a nice little shout out to our sponsors. How big is this? Okay, that's not too big. First off, we have Emmy Eats Ramen, IMMIEATS.com. Go to Emmy Eats Ramen, and they have 6 amazing flavors you could order yourself because it's the world's first low carb, low sodium, high fiber, high protein, plant-based ramen. And here are your flavors right here. I don't like the black garlic chicken as much as I do tom yum shrimp and then the spicy beef, but they have spicy red miso, creamy chicken, and roasted pork tonkatsu. Use promo code EDGE2G to get $5 off your purchase at Emmy Eats. Then, and you can also use a store locator to see where they have Emmy Eats Ramen in stores. You can buy it there, but you can't use the promo code. It says free shipping, US orders over $60. And I don't even know how many that is, because usually they send a box with 6 to 9 in it, depending on how big the box is. But great ramen. It's good for your body. Tastes good. It's better. I mean, price-wise, everybody loves the 99-cent ramen, but this is what you need. This is what Naruto's mom wants. She wanted to eat vegetables, but at least good quality ramen. Next, we have switcheries.com. If you have a Nintendo Switch and you like to customize your Switch, your thumb grips, your case, use promo EDGE10 to get 10% off your purchase at checkout. Hello Kitty, Pokemon, Kirby, Triforce, Zelda, whatever you want, whatever you like, they have it here. Just use that promo code to get 10% off your purchase at checkout. That's done. That's over. That being said, let's go ahead and get into the TCB scans, because these are amazing. The layout, the size, everything that Oda's given us, the story is fucking phenomenal. So we start off chapter 1174, the strongest in the world. There's a reader request, a cover request by Tokomon. Roger takes a stroll and tames a Tyrannosaurus like a puppy. He's holding a piece of meat in his hand just like this while he took a bite out himself. He's eating. And then there's a Tyrannosaurus Rex, Tunk, hanging out, happy, has Roger's pirate hat, not the straw hat, on his head and just following him. I don't know where readers get these requests from, but Luffy tames animals by punching them. Roger uses meat. I want to see other captains interact. We've seen Law, we've seen Dofi. Let's continue the trend. We've seen Shanks too, but still. So opening scene, a blunder in the end game. We see the end of Route Branch 8 where the port was, and right off the port where there was Cloud Sea, where there was a ship, it's just a vast hole right on the outside of the tree. Sommers is on his snake, thorn snake, sitting there. 3 exclamation. He goes, "This is bad. That damn dream demon." And as he visualizes evil Nika going through and creating this cavern. And in the back of it, because we didn't know what Branch 8 looked like. On Branch 8, off in the distance, you can not only see West Village, but even further back, you can see Hearst Castle. So he's sitting there, the kids are right behind him, Elbaph's in flames, and then Sommers like looking just like the meme of William Dafoe, and he says, "And it's not just the ship." And then we get an overhead view, and the hole's even more massive than what we thought. The long thorn snake that Sommers is on is right next to the kids, which are right next to Gunko's arrow line, leading to a pit. He goes, and those sea clouds got blown away with it. He says, what a mess, and I can't stop the arrow's effects. As he's panicking, looking from on top of his thorn snake, he says, the brats will fall and splat themselves against the mountain face. Then you hear him on the radio. It says, Gunko, you got to stop the kids. We need to call off the plan for a bit. And then he goes, it's no use. Lord Emu's in there right now, not her. So Emu's ignoring the Din Din Mushi call and just focusing. Because I think the last time that we saw Gunko, what was Gunko just staring at? We'll find out here in a minute. Gunko, Gimu was just staring off in the distance. Oh, Brooke was talking to Gimu. So that's where the focus is. We go back. We see Sommers looking down at the kids, and then some of the parents that are there still trying to free them. He says, we have to free them from this arrow. And Sommers just looking surprised. Then we have an old giant biting the fucking arrow. We have another one pulling. We have another one hitting with an axe, and you see everybody working against the arrow. And it says, "What's this made of? I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving a scratch." Daddy, mommy, save me! The kids say. Then we see Sommers raise up higher on his thorn snake. He said, "That's useless, you fools. If that were possible, I'd be doing it myself." And then they look up in surprise, and then Sommers thinks to himself, says, those parents are trying to protect their children, but the thorns won't let them touch the brats. But the way things are going, they'll soon be forced to watch their kids careen to their deaths. And then the picture that you see right over to the side, Sommers' tongue out, he pulls up his shade, he says, "Oh my, what a juicy way to die." And then he puts his hand on his little goatee, he says, "Hey, wait, this kind of works out. Since Gunko is being controlled, the Great One's technically responsible for this." And then he says aloud, "We can always snatch more brats afterwards." And then he just laughs maniacally, tongue coming out of his mouth. He says, "I can hear it now, those sweet sobbing screams of their dear parents as they plummet. This is going to be so touching." Then we see a pan vision, him on his thorn snake risen high, the kids still walking, following the arrow down the steps, the parents trying to destroy the arrow, flames in the background, huge demon monsters everywhere. And then he gets on the Din Din Mushi, says, "Attention brats and PTA members alike. Our initial plan to ship the tykes off safely to the Holy Land has run into an unforeseen snafu. This ship and the cloud layers have been wiped away." Then he says, "So, to be blunt, your kids are about to fall to their deaths." And they're like, "What? There's nothing there." As they look down at the end of the port, nothing at all. Sommers continues over the Din Din Mushi. "It's almost comical, I know. You've come so far to find a morbid finish line ahead." And they're like, "Huh?" He's like, "We're just gonna," the kids are like, "We're just gonna march off the edge like this. We'll fall if we keep going." And then we see the great Oimoy looking down. He says, "If giving up my arms is the only surefire way to stop them, then so be it." And he grabs his granddaughter, and you see thorns go through his hands, go through his wrist. And then we see some of the other giants like, "Huh," and the kid says, "Grandpa, Oimo," and they're like, "Oh no." Then we see Killingham in his centaur form, standing up on high with his trident, and Sommers continues, "Unfortunately, there really is no way to stop this." Then Killingham says, "What is that bastard Sommers doing? We finally got all the brats to the harbor." Then Oimoy is being dragged while the thorns are in his hands. He goes, "Damn it!" He falls to the ground and continues to be dragged by his granddaughter. We see the other giants following their kids that are following the arrow. And they're like, "Yeah, it's hurting you. Let go, Grandpa Oimoy." Oimoy, the little girl says, and then another parent's yelling from the back. And then Oimoy lets go and he says, "Please forgive me," as he holds his hands, blood dripping down his forearms, on his face. And the giant behind him says, "Oimoy." Then he looks at his hand. He's like, "It seems we really can't do anything while the arrow is around. There is no way to stop the kids." And Ripley says, "So we can't save them?" And another giant behind her says, "No way." Then we see the giant parents looking at the top of the platform to the end of the harbor, down at the kids, as the kids are getting ready, like Colin is about to take his first steps in like 5 steps. Then it says, "You expect me to watch my own kid plummet to death," she says. "Those demons are screwing with us." Then another giant says, "If they fall into the realm of the dead, we won't even be able to recover their bodies." Huh, I wonder. Can they not, are they forbidden to go down to the underworld? They think, I mean, animals may eat them. Because they just took the lifts straight up after hearing Loki's story, so they should be able to take it down. But anyway, Sommers is laughing maniacally, snot out of his nose, tears out of his eyes. Then we see the kids talking amongst themselves, and the big one says, I must have done something bad. This is divine punishment, isn't it?" Then another one says, "Huh?" Then we get to the kid that's right behind Colin, the girl, and she says, "I was always told that too when I got in trouble." And then another kid says, "Me too, if only I was a good boy." Then Colin says, "You guys really think we're gonna die because we're bad?" Then the parents rushing down to the kids as they're getting ready to plummet off. We see this huge fucking hole, Ahurst Castle, the village in the back, on the branch of the tree. Say, "Wait, no way. I'll be a good kid from now on, I promise," the kids say. "Save me," another kid says. "Help." And then another one is crying, saying, "I'm sorry." And Sommers takes up his shades, laughing, looking down at the kids as they're getting ready to die. And Colin says, "I won't do anything bad anymore, ever," as he yells, and has a memory of him showing an Emeth action figure to Ripley. And Ripley says, the sun god pays special attention to naughty kids, you know. But like I said, I won this in a duel," Colin reminds his mom, because he got into a fight with the kid, is what the full summary spoiler said. So let's see if that is the... Oh, it is. Ripley grabs his ear and she's mad as fuck. She says, "The strong should look out for the weak. Now go and apologize." And it's the little girl that's right behind him, and she's in tears. Then we see her talking to her mom. Says, "Why haven't you cleaned your plate? Do you hate my cooking that much?" She says, "No, I just hate carrots." And then you see her, another kid. So these are all the memories of kids and their parents, like when they were naughty and why they were dying. Another kid with horns says, "How many times do I have to tell you to take your father's, or not to take your father's sword?" And he's covering his ears with his tongue out as he's getting punished by his mom. Another kid is pulling his face, looking at his grandpa. "I hate you, Grandpa. You and your savage pirate crew stink." Then another girl is sulking as her mom has her hand on her shoulder, says, "Why are you lying again? I can't protect you if you lie to me, you know." Then the big kid at the back that when we started this said, "I must have done something wrong. This is a divine punishment." He says to his mom, "Why did you bring my homework with you? I forgot it on purpose. I didn't do it." Then we see Colin getting ready to step as he's crying maniacally. "I don't want to die, Mommy." And right in front, like, because when we see him, there's nobody in front of him. Right after he says that, Ripley is there. And it says she fucking ran on her knees, arms out, and says, "Colin." He goes, "Huh?" Says, "Come here." And as she hugs him, there's thorns through her biceps, her forearms, her elbow, her thighs, her back. And she just goes, "Ah." And Colin says, "I'm sorry." And she says, "I can't stop you from moving, but I can do this much at least." As she continues to have the thorns pierce through her, Colin is crying, and he says, "But if you don't let go, you'll die, Mommy." And she says, "I'm okay with that. It's better than letting you die alone." And then Colin continues, and Ripley and Colin start to fall in this double panel. And the kids are like, "Ah, what?" And all of their parents have grabbed them and are getting stabbed. The kids are like, "Mama, Mommy, Grandpa, Mom, Ma," as they cry, tears coming down their face, snot out of their nose. Sommers is fucking head back, maniacally laughing even harder. And then Chief Jarul's great-granddaughter's granddaughter, great-granddaughter says, "It's okay, we'll be fine. I just know it, we'll be saved." She's been fucking sunshine this whole time. And then boom, 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 parent after parent after parent falls after Ripley and Colin and says, "We'll be saved, right?" And then it's Ranja, that's who it is. She gets grabbed and he says, "You did great back there. Ah." And she turns and sees him. She says, "Papa." Then we see Bent and his mom is like, "Bent." And he's like, "Mommy," as she gets stabbed. He says, "What scares me the most?" And he remembers what he said to Angie in classes, "My mommy." And then he starts crying. He says, "I'm sorry. I said you were scary." And then the mom says, "I don't mind being scary. Your fierce mommy lives to protect you." Then we have one last girl, the Nico Robin of the group, standing there, and she says, it must be nice having parents like these. And then we see a conversation with her and Ange. Ange says, don't worry, I'm here for you. And says, you're not my mom. It's the last thing she said to her. Then we see Joanna as Ange. This is where Sai's mortal enemy Ange has been. Sai has dogged Ange since day one, saying that she's a traitor. She's working for Emu. She is the worst of the worst. And Ange, all she wanted to do was come and save Joanna, who is an orphan. And she turns around and sees Ange getting stabbed all the way fucking through. And she says, Miss Ange. Sai, you're wrong. I just gotta say it now. You're wrong, Sai. Might have to change this title to You Are Wrong About Ange. Sai. The Sai and Ange agenda is done. But then we see Bjorn, and he's thinking, stay away from my school. It's embarrassing enough having a total nerd like you for my brother, thinking of what he said to Rode. And then Rode says, I can be more discreet so they won't notice me, as he smiles. And then his Bjorn is just looking straight down as he continues to walk. He's like, divine punishment, huh? And Rode is running almost at an angle from underneath. He says, Bjorn, Tasso. And he jumps and catches Bjorn. He falls. He's like, Grr! He's like, I'm fine. It doesn't hurt. As Bjorn comes into his chest and he jumps, and Bjorn finally yells, brother! And they all are falling in a spiral down through the open hole. And Sommers is laughing. Yeah. He says, look at them, those worthless scraps of tumbling into my abyss. My heart is quivering. What a touching story. If you just let them fall, you'd only be down 10 brats. And then he continues, like, pulls his shades down, laughing even more. This is the most, it's like slobber out of his mouth, snot out of both nose, eyes completely watering. He says, those parents are stupid. Their love made them choose to die with their kids. I have butterflies in my stomach. What a beautiful, meaningless death. And then all of a sudden, snow starts to driftly gent down from the sky. It starts to get dark. And we see thud, thud, thud as the kids have fallen through the clouds to the underworld. There's snow all around, and they're on something that's big and black, taking up the whole panel. And then Ripley says, Colin, where are we? He says, I don't know, Mommy, but we're safe. And the thorns are gone. They've served their purpose. The kids have fallen. All the other kids are like, Mom, huh? He says, I call that one gum gum rice cracker belly anyways. You're kind of digging into me. And so this white spot that is huge, taking up this huge black portion, is Luffy, just as a huge rice cracker that catches him. He says, so get off. And they're like, Luffy? What? And then we see an eye look to the side, say, hey, you, as soon as we land, I want you to hop off my back, you hear? And then someone says, did he say back? And then Loki continues, I don't want you meddling in my fight. And then Luffy, in the Gear 5 white form, says, you guys just came falling down on us out of nowhere. Good thing we were passing by. And then it goes back to Loki's eye. He said, I didn't sign off on this. I'm the Great Destroyer. I'm responsible for anybody's safety. Now let's move. And then Sommers says, it's snowing. That's so sudden. All the MMAs in the background. Says, wait, was that thunder? And then we see a combination. This has to be a combination of Loki and Luffy's power, because we see that Ahur's castle and the rest of the sun world is rubbery. As we have lightning come down, as we have snow fall, and they're like, what? The trees are shifting? All the MMAs in the back, all the monsters are trying to hold their balance. And then we have a close-up of Chief Jarul and two giants. It's like dun 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 dun, crack crack. You start hearing the drums of liberation. You start seeing the hawk, and he says, what is this beat? All of Elbaph is shaking. And Chief Jarul says, on a curious day when thunder and snow both flurry, a giant beast shall appear to blot out the skies. The drums of liberation, as we see Loki's back come from the underworld up through the hole that he just saved the kids from. The drums of liberation will boom out. And then we see Sommers say, what? As he's yelling, and Gimu looks over. Then Jarul finishes, the drums of liberation will boom out, and the sun god will arise. And Luffy, sitting next to Ragnar on top of Loki's head, as he comes up through the hole from the underworld, blots out everything. And Luffy's like, yeah. He's like, look how big you got. Now this is going to be fun. And that is the end of the chapter. All the other MMAs are dwarfed. Even we have the frozen Draugr that Loki first froze in the underworld before they even started to come up. And it says the hour of Elbaph's liberation has come. These are the TCP scans for your chapter this week. The full ones will come out Sunday. We'll get that read. We'll go through the full official read, see what's changed, see what Sommers actually says to the kids, see what Ripley says, and see what this prophecy is by Chief Jarul about the sun god. And we just heard it from Loki. He thinks he's the destroyer, the sun god Nika, but Luffy has been called sun god Nika. He doesn't care if he's a destroyer. He doesn't want to be Nika. He just is. So these are your spoilers. These are the TCB scans. Join me next week. Make sure to follow, turn on notifications. That way you know when, actually, are we on break next week? Go to the, let me check. So I was like, did I post this somewhere? Let me check real quick. And into break next week. So nothing next week. After Sunday, we'll be on a break. We'll probably discuss Loki, that he is Nidhogg, how him and Luffy are going to interact, why we have, I mean, we know why we have Luffy's powers. He's awakened, but will Loki awaken now that he's in this big-ass dragon form? I will see you guys on Sunday. Thank you. I'm Elijah 5000. Remember, guess the song. This could be yours. Simple. Don't know what it is? Watch a previous video. Easy. All right. Peace.